After 14 years, Final Destination is finally back with its sixth entry. Is it any good? Let's find out right now. Alright, that was just a short look at Final Destination Bloodlines, which I'm going to be talking about today, but do not worry, I won't be talking about any spoilers. But before we get started, make sure to leave a like, as it does help me out a lot. But you're probably wondering, are you a big Final Destination fan? And I'm going to be honest here, I had no knowledge whatsoever of this series before the new one came out, before the new trailer came out for this movie. So you know what I did? I watched one every night leading up to this new one, and now I can call myself a fan of this series because I think they're really fun movies. I wouldn't take them seriously at all. I went into the series, knowing they're pretty goofy, campy, gruesome body horror kind of movies, and that's what they are. A lot of people die in these movies, and they die in some really, really messed up ways. And I liked pretty much all of them. This is the sixth one, so I binge watch 1 through 5. I'd say 3 was my favorite, and I loved Mary Elizabeth Winstead in that. 1, it's a classic. I liked what's going on there. I never really found one of them to be great, though. I found them all just be fun, good movies, except the fourth one. That one was absolutely horrendous. So if you're going to watch them, just be warned that the fourth one is really bad. But now on to this new one, which has been getting some high praise. It's got like the highest amount of Rotten Tomatoes, which, doesn't say much, but I'm just saying. And it was actually the second most viewed horror trailer of all time, just behind, I think, It Chapter 1 or It Chapter 2, one of the It movies. And I have to say, after walking out of this movie, I think it's easily the best one yet. And I'm saying best one yet because I think that this movie is going to be a huge box office hit, especially because, as I said, it's the first one in like 11 years or something like that, 14 years actually. I think it's going to be a huge hit, and I think they're going to be making much more. But it's crazy that this one is the sixth one in the series, and they somehow made it the best one yet. But I had a great time with this. What's really interesting about this one is that usually when they're doing the Final Destination movies, if you've seen them, you know how they all operate the same way. They all operate on a specific formula. A premonition happens, then death follows. But in this one, they changed it up. They changed up the formula just a little bit. But I really think that change made this one a little bit more exciting, a little bit more tense, because you really don't know what's going to happen. I'm not really going to spoil what happens in other movies, but usually a premonition happens with the main character. They see how everyone else is going to die. They know who's going to die first and all that. And in this one, it's kind of the same way, but they change it up just slightly. But it really adds a couple more layers to the story, which I found to be really refreshing. I thought they were just going to go and do the same thing over and over again, because with 6 movies in, usually you don't change what works, and that usually worked for the series. But I gotta say, by the fifth one, I kind of got bored of that. I was like, it's getting kind of boring seeing the same thing happen, just with different kills and different cast members. But in this one, they changed it up, and it really adds a new, refreshing tone to this that I thought was great. I do want to quickly say how sad but happy I was to see Tony Todd in this movie, because if you didn't know, he died in real life late last year. And if you haven't seen the other Final Destination movies, if you're not a fan, he's a pretty prominent character that shows up in, a lot of these movies as a coroner that the characters in these movies seek help from. He gives a lot of cool monologues in these movies. He's in almost all of them. I think he's in like 4 out of 6 of them, and he plays a small role in some other ones. And I found it, really nice that they gave him a role in this movie, and he gained actually some story in here, which surprised me. Like, they did a lot of surprising things in this movie that I wasn't expecting, because Tony Todd's character usually just shows up in these movies, and he's kind of just a cool character that kind of just connected in all these movies, and he just reoccurring role for him, and he's just a person that they ask help from. But this one, he gains some lore, which I'm not going to get into. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but he gains some lore. He has a little bit of story to his character. I was shocked that they did that, but I found it really respectful, because he's one of the main characters that shows up in almost every one of them, and I really liked how he finally gained some story and some lore to his character. Now to talk about the kills, but I want to make sure to not go into detail on them, but those kills were so great. They were nuts in such a fun way. I go into these movies for the kills, and this one did not disappoint. I'm going to say the opening premonition slash dream sequence here was really fun. They do some funny things with pennies throughout the movie, because if you know the little saying, you pick up a lucky penny on the ground, oh, it's luck. But in this one, pennies are not lucky at all. And the opening premonition, further discusses that. There's some clever callbacks in this one, especially at the very end. And let me just say, there's something that happens with an MRI machine in this movie, and it might be the most gruesome and messed up kill in the whole entire series. I was also interested to see how the pacing was going to work in this movie, because if you didn't know, this movie is an hour and 50 minutes long, and usually all 5 other Final Destination movies are like an hour 30 minutes, hour 35, something like that. They're in that range. One of them's even like an hour 22 minutes, but they're usually pretty short. But this one was 20 minutes longer, and I was a little bit worried how that was going to work. But surprising me, it's another great thing that they added to this movie, because we got a little bit more fleshing out of the story here. We had more time before each kill, because usually in the other movies, a kill happens, and then like 5-10 minutes later, another kill happens. I was like, it's moving way too quickly. But this one slowed it down, and I feel like that was for the better. So overall, Final Destination Bloodlines did something rare, and that is having a 6th movie in the series becoming the best one yet. This was a blast from start to finish, and it might have the most gruesome kill in the whole entire series. And I also enjoyed that it was longer, because the others felt a little bit rushed. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I am so hyped to go see this again in theaters. I'm going to give this a strong 7.5 out of 10. If you did go see Final Destination Bloodlines in theaters, make sure to leave your own thoughts down below in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys thought. Also, if you enjoyed this review, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.